Ken. Just like that, we are live, folks. Welcome to Live Reality Games, where we cover everything from Big Brother podcast. We cover recaps on that, Survivor stuff, and of course, live reality game related stuff. And really, that stuff is what we're here tonight covering. We are covering Survival Challenge 2021. We are joined by three of the contenders, Benji, Alex, and Kelsey. Little round robin here. Benji, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Had the whole day off, got to relax a little bit, clean the house. Just excited to be here. Thanks for hosting us.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. Alex, how are you this evening?
Living the dream. It's been it's been a fun, crazy couple months, but this past weekend I just got engagement photos taken, and then I went to a friend's wedding in high school. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. Any kind of thematic things for the engagement photos? You're on like the beach or anything like that?
No, it's in a nature park. So yeah, but we took a couple actually by Lake Michigan because I went home to Kenosha area. That's where I grew up, which is Wisconsin. Yeah.
Lake Michigan's just that way for me. So, Kelsey, where's Lake Michigan for you?
Oh gosh, don't ask me about geography. I think this way, right? No, I took my day off as an opportunity to just make it all about Survivor, right? I worked on my Survivor edition video. I'm here now. Survivor tends to consume my life on a daily basis. So what's new?
What is new? We will soon find out, actually. We have some viewers commenting already. Caitlin's here watching this podcast. Caitlin, welcome.
Hi, Caitlin.
And of course, we're here just to kind of relive the experiences of Survival Challenge 2021. For more in-depth, make sure you check out Behind the Player, which is ran by the Survival Challenge people. Find it on the podcast, find it on their Facebook page, anywhere you find that. These three will have an in-depth sit-down of every single game move, every single discussion they have. This one is kind of just a friendly get to know each other and relive the big moments and the highlights that we may want to focus on in the upcoming episodes, which will be produced from the Survival Challenge page. So kicking things off here, let's find out how you all found out about Survival Challenge. Opposite order, Kelsey, how did you find out about Survival Challenge and how kind of the audition experience? You were just talking about auditioning for Survivor. Any similarities?
So I think it was around Survivor 40. I followed some of the contestants on Instagram, so I was following Adam Klein. He posted about it, so I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. But a lot of times opportunities like this aren't really that local to the Midwest, but then I see it's in Illinois. I'm like, okay, I'm from Indiana, it couldn't be too far. I look up and I see it's in the town that I went to college in, so that was pretty mind-blowing to me. I was like, I have to apply. I go to their website, research everything about it. I see Ryan on their website. I'm like, hey, I follow that guy on Twitter, so I reached out to Ryan. He was just kind of the push over the ledge that I needed to apply. I applied, got selected, and here I
am. The rest is history. Alex, did you also follow Adam and kind of followed about like that?
No, I am best friends. My bestie, Evan Johnson, who helps plan everything. So he did it, I think, 2-3 years ago. And he... Yeah, so I've known him since college, but he knows how big of a Survivor fan I am, and he was the one after his season was like, you got to do this. It's just like the Survivor game, but only 5 days is great. And I was like, okay, I'll try it, and I didn't get on. And then I tried last year, and I also was told I was an alternate. And then, this year, about February or March, someone dropped, and they did some interviews with me and someone else. I never figured out who the other guy was, but I didn't get it. And then and then June hit a couple weeks before, and then I was asked, said, you got some good fortune, someone broke their leg or something, I don't know, someone had an incident, and they were like, do you want to get on? I was like, hell yeah, I want to get on. so that happened, and then it was a couple days after I actually proposed, I got on this. So
my gosh, good things come to those who wait, I guess, right?
Yeah. So I did not have a lot of prep.
Benji, how about you?
I'm actually very active in the online community through online reality games. I host a game and I also play some games. And actually, one person that I've played with and multiple people that I hosted in the game that I play recommended the game. I played with Austin Johnson from the previous season, and I hosted Sam Lechner and Will, who's also on production, and Hannah, who's also on production, and also Jen Carter. She was also in Survival 2019 or whatever. All those people just kept speaking nonstop about how great it was. And it was just one of those opportunities that I felt like I had to just kind of take and run with. And so I had the opportunity to apply. And I was the first alternate when I was told. But as soon as COVID was announced, someone dropped out. And so I was immediately on the cast. And then I stuck with it for, 14 months or so until July turned around this year. And I'm very grateful to have been a part of the experience.
Yeah, it just was like a roller coaster for a lot of people getting in, getting alternates, getting put as alternates. And of course, it was a roller coaster for everyone, especially given last year. Alex, it looks like we have a little answer here. Stu actually thinks he was that person that beat you out in that interview. So,
wow, jerk. No, you went. Yeah, great job.
And Stu also made a comment earlier. Kelsey, I believe this is towards you, Queen of Macomb.
Sorry.
You and your puppy. And Chris just says overall, like legends, icons. So thanks, Chris, and thanks Stu for joining us as well. Keep those comments coming if you want to put them on screen or if you have some dirt that you can dish on these three contestants. So it's really interesting, Benji, is especially after last year, everyone was in quarantine. Everyone kind of found different outlets to satisfy their survivor fix, per se. And a lot of stuff happened online. Getting to check in, did you notice anybody that you knew from the online world or anybody that you have met previously?
Yeah. So as soon as I got out of my car, I turned around and saw one of the commenters. We just saw Chris O'Neill get out of his car. And I've known Chris since 2018, I think. We played a game together in Durr. And he moved to Denver recently. And I'd actually been hanging out with him periodically. And when we went to a casino a few weeks before this game started, and my girlfriend kind of blurted out, "Oh, Benji's going to do that live Survivor game, blah, blah, blah." And I just didn't think of it that Chris is in the room. And I was like, she can tell people, like, no one's going to really know. And then as soon as I turned around, I was like, oh my God, he was in the room. And he knew the whole time I was going to be here. And I was like, I was already intimidated immediately. I was like, he has that edge on me. And so I saw Chris, and then we got to our little holding area while we're all staring at each other. And I was looking for more people, but I didn't see anybody other than Chris, and I was relieved. It wasn't until John called us all over that I saw Holly and Caitlin kind of pop their heads around the corner. And that's when I was like, oh God, I know a lot more people than I was expecting to know here. And that's when the nerves really started to hit me at the start of the game.
Now, were those nerves like, oh gosh, I have to work with this person, or like, please keep this person away from me, don't tell anybody about this?
It was a little bit of both, because it was like, if I don't start with them at the beginning of the game, will they feel obligated to work with me or against me later in the game? And knowing that they all knew how I played and how my social game was and what to expect of me, it was more of I had to keep my friends close but enemies closer type of mentality. And I was ready to both work with them and get rid of them at any moment in the game, because I really wanted to walk in without knowing anybody and play my own game. And so not having them there, I felt was beneficial, but also I knew that I could work with them if I needed to.
Now, Kelsey, you're a huge Survivor fanatic, as you just said before. Did you also find yourself into the online games before coming onto this?
No. Jake Sparts actually had to teach me what org stood for out there during Survival Challenge. So no, I did not know anybody. If you watch the reunion, I think like Holly kind of says like I was somebody to look out for, somebody, and I said yeah, I'm really proud because like I knew nobody coming in. I didn't even know like these were a thing. Like I think I thought that Survival Challenge was like the only like live game. Little did I know it's like really big. So no, I knew nobody. And I was really overwhelmed at the end when they're like, who all knows somebody, and like 80% of the cast like raised their hand. So.
It was shocking. I was watching that too. I worked from home and tried to help like set up the messaging and set up the videos for the folks doing the actual video. So it was shocking to see how many people So what were your reactions getting there? You don't know anyone. Do you make eye contact with specific people, or are you like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed? What was that experience for you?
Yeah, so kind of how it works out is, well, first of all, I'm probably the only person that didn't need to use directions to get there, right? So I'm feeling like pretty comfortable, like arriving. But then just kind of how it works out is all the people who got dropped off, surprise, surprise, a bunch of girls, are on one side of the house, and then everybody who dropped themselves are on the other side of the house, so mostly guys. I think I counted, and there was like 9 or so girls like with me, and so I knew, okay, usually there's 24 people, right? Where are the 3 other girls or something of that nature? And so from that point on, I thought, are they 3 Survivor contestants? Like, is that why they're hidden? Like, they're gonna bring them out later for the big surprise. So I was thinking of like who it could be. Little did I know, just 3 of the girls drove themselves. So
interesting. Now, who in your mind? You said you had 3 people.
yeah.
That you might have thought were playing. Who would you want to play with if there was a Survivor comeback person?
I think it's different. Like, one, in terms of who I would fangirl the most, totally unrealistic. Like Michelle, Kim, Andrea. As far as being realistic, I was trying to think of like who I knew was from the Midwest or maybe who had the connection. But yeah, I just think anybody kind of around my age, around kind of my likeness, I feel like, birds of a feather flock together. So anybody that I could feel like I really could bond with. So.
Now the person we haven't quite checked in yet is Alex. How was your check-in process?
Well, I don't think I shared, like, I went to Western Illinois. I went to Macomb in college. I don't know if anyone actually knew that either. That I don't think I shared that during the game. I went there my first year and then I transferred, but like, so 10 years ago, I went to Western Illinois, and it was just a tough year. My first like serious relationship, like we broke up. My parents got a divorce while I was there. My grandpa died. My grandma died. So this was my very first time coming back to Macomb since I left all that. So I actually came like an hour or 2 early, and I went to all these spots where like I remember getting those phone calls of like, this is where I was at when my parents got divorced. I was at this baseball field. This is where I was at when like I was struggling with my grandma dying. So it was kind of like a very refreshing moment for me of like, I don't know, like I've gotten past all of that, but like going back to this area and just kind of like seeing how I've grown since then. But so like after that, I got out. I didn't know anyone either. I was not expecting 80% of the people to know each other. That's something I wish I thought about, because when they did the whole like pick the people next to you and go, like I'm pretty confident like 3 or 4 people in my original like not tribe but group, like they knew each other. So but I remember we went off and I tried to make eye contact. I was like, I want to find a guy and a girl that I think would work well with me. So I saw Morgan, and I saw Devin, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday. And I was like, ooh, I like these people. So I tried to give them like a nod, but that probably was like not a good thing to do. But I was like, these are the 2 people I want to work with. So I'm going to try and get them and then try and get something going quickly. So yeah, I kind of just stuck by them.
Yeah, even though there was a lot of people that did know of each other this particular season, typically that's not the case with Survival Challenge. Yes, there was a lot of online gaming happening at that point, a lot of casting alternates upon alternates too. It was a crazy year, and we're glad to have it nonetheless, to have the experience of that you all had here. It sounds like it was pretty positive, and from what Alex was starting us out with, teams were chosen right off the bat. John just says, choose a team, and you literally look around yourself. And Benji, how did your team form?
Well, gosh, I remember I was in the middle of kind of everyone, and I was standing right next to Chris, and my idea was I'm going to try to bring Chris in because I didn't think people would expect us to work together, even though we knew each other. So I was kind of hoping to have some sort of something with him. And I was going to walk in the direction of Caitlin because I wanted to work with her. And Holly was over there too. So I was thinking like maybe I can start with people and try to like cover up our previous relationships. But what's funny is Chris kind of like let go of me as I tried to pull him in. And my plan immediately dissolved. And then Chris, Holly, and Caitlin all ended up on a tribe together. Like all the people I was trying to somehow connect with or have one connection. And then I guess in hindsight, I was like, maybe it's a good thing I'm not with them. And I just kind of walked straight forward. And there's when I found Pat and everyone else that I was kind of in that tribe with, because I had Tiffany, I had Megan, I had all those people, and it just kind of felt like I walked toward the center trying to like grab people with me, but nothing worked out. And the group kind of formed around me, like they pulled me in, and then I was in a group of 8. And that's when I remember Megan saying to John, "Has the challenge started?" And he was like, "Yeah, go, go, go." And then that's when I just threw my shirt off, jumped into the water, started pulling the that damn heavy raft.
Yeah, that sucked.
That beast.
Just to relive the experience, here's that heavy damn raft we're talking about. So we see Benji right in the water, pulling everyone above.
Yeah, that was such an experience. Like, I'm so grateful that was our first challenge, because it just felt like we were on Survivor as soon as that moment began.
It was cool.
No.
Kelsey, same feelings for you. Excited first challenge of Survival Challenge. Were you excited?
I mean, oh yeah, but it was just, for me, there was no logic, right? Because I knew nobody. It was just mass chaos, whoever you're by. I forget who really made the plan of our group, but somebody was like, guys swim, 2 people ride, girls were going to run. And at first I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm a pretty good runner. But I had, for whatever, not very bright of me, I just stuffed a McAllister's like sandwich and maybe, I don't know, mac and cheese like down my throat, like right before coming out. And man, like I was good like the first 2, maybe 3 laps. So on that 4th lap, I was like, it's going to come out one way or the other. I'm not sure where. Do I just do it right out in the open? Do I hide in the bushes? But thankfully I made it throughout my 4 laps around that big pond. I mean, it's like a lake. It's really big when you're running around it.
Yeah.
But I made it. I was happy. I never stopped running. So it was mass chaos for sure.
It's super fun to see actually what the episodes come out, to see actually what goes down. Like, players remember some things, like, oh yeah, I talked to this person. And really, like, sometimes you're like, oh, I never talked to this person. The film showed
Yeah,
it.
me and Caleb were like running beside each other, like introducing ourselves and like gasping for breath. I'm like, why? You know, there's no reason for that. But I think that was kind of a funny moment I'll always look back on.
So at the end of the first challenge, everyone kind of arrives in a similar place. Like, there's one big fire pit in the middle. It's not necessarily told by anybody. It's not implied. It's just hinted at that this is a one world scenario. And I think, Alex, you're not too happy about this one world situation here.
Huh. That's a funny picture. I felt like I think I was just focused right there. I mean, like, I felt good because I got Landon and Morgan. But I think it was just more we were just waiting for a long time, and I don't know how to word this. It just took too long because it was already almost dark by the time anyone was working on the tarp and realized, okay, we're staying here for the night. And we weren't sure if we could talk to the other groups or if we had to stay alone. I think this got a target on my back quickly. Like, I just wanted to talk to everyone. And that I think it was Kelsey's group that I was like, dude, they're just having a fun time. Like, I just want to go over there and talk to them. So yeah, it was a fun night because then none of us were able to really get a tarp going. So then we all were just on the ground with half a tarp over us. So starting Survivor strong.
Did your team just like really bond? Like, Alex was like, oh, Kelsey's team is like the happy team.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
They're the fun ones. No, like you said, like, since everything was wet, we were all pretty kind of confined to our tarp. So, and again, they didn't really tell us much. So we were all just kind of with our own groups, not wanting to have a target kind of ping-ponging around to everybody else, kind of like Alex a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it started raining and we're just out in this like open clearing. So my team or group, whatever, has the idea to kind of move our tarp into a clearing. And we just, the other tarp,
smart.
People went to bed like right away, or at least were laying down and kind of being quiet. And we were up having a ball most of the night. So it was a good
Caitlin's joining, say Blue Crew. So
yep,
Kelsey pointed something out, and Alex kind of said it too. Benji, was Alex seen as kind of a target at first? Was he running around a little bit too much from your standpoint?
Alex was doing what I wanted to do in my body, which was go around, say hi, and get to know people.
Yeah.
Which I was doing a little bit too much of, but you know, when you know someone's name by the end of the night with 24 people, that can kind of be a bad sign because they're introducing themselves and talking so much. I wouldn't say that he's necessarily seen as a target because I think we were all kind of stuck thinking about our own tribes a little bit. Like I know that on my tribe, it was mostly like we were looking out for who on our tribe was not loyal or who was not trying to like sneak away and talk to people. And so you know, there was a lot of like that side eye of like, are we talking to each other too much? Are we bonding with our own tribe? Because we thought that eventually we're going to vote someone out of our original 8 eventually.
If it was those original 8, like I was gonna go first on my tribe. I thought I was like, I don't like Jamie. I was trying to see about that, but like I think started playing the game too quickly.
Sure. Yeah, I mean I think just not having enough information, a lot of us were just keeping our cards really close. And so I don't think that I was necessarily looking what was going on with the other tribes. Other than the fact that the other tribes it was weird. Both of your tribes, when we were trying to help each other out, were against one another for some reason. Like Kelsey, your tribe wasn't helping out Alex's tribe, and then Alex's tribe was like, we like your tribe, like the tribe that I was on with K-Woog had and all of them. And I was just kind of like, that's great, because I know the people on Kelsey's tribe and the people on Alex's tribe like me. So it's like I feel like we're in a decent middle position right now.
I loved Benji. Yeah, I was like, I was getting so because then Jamie wanted to lie and say there's a David and stuff like that, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I just want to get to know these people.
I was just letting them stir the pot because I knew that, that there's no reason to make any waves because we don't know what the rules are, what's going to happen yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Alex was popping around a little bit. Benji, were you working on any social gameplay yourself? Maybe a little bit under the radar.
I was trying to. The thing about my game is that I can't help but be who I am, and I've just always been a talker, and I like to get to know people and like get a good vibe with them. And I found out after the fact that apparently I was doing too good of a job because I think someone on production said that a lot of people were recognizing that I was either having a voice among the 24 or at least like well-liked or something. And that kind of put a target on my back. And so for better or worse, I like to be someone that likes to get to know people, but you know, maybe it might've been too much, more than I could control, maybe in a way.
Kelsey, besides having fun on this blue crew, which we have Stu and Chris also in the comments, blue crew it seems. Besides having fun, was there any strategy behind this fun?
Oh, I don't know. I think night 1, I was trying not to overdo it, right? Like just have a good time, get to know people. I was really proud that I got to know by the end of the night, I knew every single person's name. Did I know anything about all these other people? No, right? Because it was very casual during the One World. You're just kind of going around, like asking people where they're from and things. I think the only genuine conversation I had from somebody other than my group that day was Pat, which, I mean, who doesn't love Pat? We've coined him as the Parvati of our season. He's great. We kind of have a connection where he used to live where my aunt used to live in California. So got to know him, but really just trying to focus on individual relationships. I think at one point, most of the girls from my blue team or tribe, whatever, walked to the bathroom together and kind of like said, oh, let's stick together, but nothing really more strategic than that.
I like the comment that Caitlin put in there, Benji. You and Caitlin know each other pretty well, and she recalls you asking about her dog's name, which you already knew.
Yeah. I know, London. London's the sweetest dog. She was the hardest relationship to manage me coming into the game because we had just played a game together leading up to Survival Challenge, and I actually played that game to prepare for Survival Challenge. And she was my top ally, and having to vote her out was the hardest thing I'd ever done in any game before. And also pretending that we didn't know each other was one of the harder things throughout the game.
Well, before we get to any tribal immunities or anything, we actually at Survival Challenge do pretty much a day of rewards and fun stuff for points, and you cash those points in for later, Survivor bucks, so on and so forth. Here's a nice little shot of Benji on one of those.
Oh yeah,
that was so much fun.
I was getting the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Too.
Yeah. That's why I knew that was going to be the
Survivor, like slinging a ball and hitting targets. Like, I was thrilled that my tribe let me be that person for that challenge.
And it looks like you won by the looks of the outcome there. Alex was on your team too.
Yeah, Alex and Pat were shagging balls for me, and yeah, it was just one of those experiences where you never think that you get to be that person in that role, because only 2 of the 23 or 24 people had that opportunity to be shooting at targets like that, and it was such a rush, and it was also frightening to think that this challenge is on my shoulders for those people.
Yeah. It was fun because it used the whole team. So that might have been my favorite that whole day.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
We got another challenge here too. Alex, you're up. You got the little idol in your hand. So I was facing off against complete strangers and trying to hit stuff off.
This one, I think I remember seeing it from the season before, and I realized like when people made a quick move, it would fall off. So I realized like just focus on your idol and like be moving your hand and stuff. So that kind of like got me to the final round, and they said we fell off 3rd, but we really fell off 2nd. So I remember I was like, wait, no, but it was good. It was a fun game.
And then at the end of this one, a lot of team bonding, just in general. Benji, you're seen here congratulating everyone. Looks like you won yet another challenge, probably.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Did these early bonds pan out for a while? Did you make connections with these early games that a little bit further than the campsite?
Actually, that challenge specifically was were people that I wanted to work with throughout the game, which was Jamie, Mandy, and Caitlin. If you wanted to know what having like a gel moment with people like that, we were the last to get our ball and to bring it back because I slipped and fell, and I was also slow throughout the entire challenge. Yet we were the first tribe by far to finish that challenge. It was like the communication and the teamwork that we had in that challenge was just something that those are the people that I wanted to work with. And Mandy actually approached me the challenge before because we had kind of bonded, and she was like, I want to work with you in future challenges. And then we got to work in 2 challenges in a row. And that was when me and Mandy started to kind of form our Ride or Die alliance right there. And then I wanted to start to work with other people that we hadn't met yet. I already knew Caitlin. And then Jamie and I really started to bond throughout the challenge, that challenge day. And he's someone that I really wish that I would have had more of a chance to work with. But obviously, when we had the tribe split, we didn't really get much time to work with each other.
Yeah, looks like Kirk was surprised by your win too by that. So
it was very fast. Yeah,
that challenge, I got a clue in the bandana.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, it dropped out, and then everyone saw it because I didn't think they'd be in the bandana. So Chris saw it. Yeah, Chris saw it first, and not Chris O'Neill, the other Chris. So then I had to read it to all of them after we. I think we came in 3rd that challenge.
Was it this challenge right here?
Yeah, that one. I thought
something.
that was the same one. Yeah, we were excited, but I was also like, oh crap. I have to share with them that I found this advance. It was the one that I don't think anyone found that was like the clue behind the porta potty that could like basically let you choose your tribe after this day or something.
Yeah.
I heard multiple people had that in bandana, so it wasn't just me.
Let's see, Kelsey, what was your take on the early challenges? Did you have a lot of different team bonding stuff? Did you get to know people?
Yeah. So I don't know if necessarily being grouped with any specific person or group of people made me necessarily want to work with them. I would say definitely the most fun was when me and Chris were paired up for the Idol one that Alex was talking about earlier. Because that challenge, you're really advantaged if you have long arms, and neither of us obviously do, but we had a really good strategy where he came over to me and we're kind of back to back, and we ended up winning our heat and then getting in 2nd, even though it was technically 3rd. But we still got the challenge bucks. But yeah, that was a fun day. I think I was able to kind of fly under the radar that day. Jamie was taking a lot of heat for winning a lot of challenge bucks, but I actually won a lot that day.
Me too.
Somehow I was able to slide under the radar. So not big in terms of strategizing. Maybe I should have been done more and I wouldn't be in this group. But it was definitely a fun kind of, not carefree day, but it was nice to know, well, at least you think you're not going anywhere in result of maybe not doing well in these challenges.
Chris says you and him were scheming in the BG background.
Well, the background of the Alex picture.
Ah, okay.
I didn't even see that.
Evan told
I
me
didn't
the
see
same thing.
that.
I won a lot of tokens that day, and I think Evan, who's on production, told me like afterwards, like I was like second or third. Yeah, you can see them. They're talking.
Oh.
I love that.
He's well done.
I didn't even see them.
Now, the fact that Alex, you got a clue in the bandana, there were several things given out, and one twist in particular, Kelsey, you got something special. You got the chance to be team captain. Congratulations.
Yeah, right? No, it's funny because I remember when we were picking those, I kind of did see that one like had like yellow sticking out of it, and like yellow's my favorite color, and like I didn't think anything of it. Like I just grabbed that one, and then lo and behold, that meant that I was the team captain.
You seem pretty shocked by it. How was your reaction? What were you thinking?
So many thoughts. I mean, I'm somebody, I do like to be in control. So is it the worst thing in the world to be in control? No, but it kind of puts you on the spotlight, right? So at that point, the closest people are Chris and Grace, but I'm not sure if I should pick them. Maybe more on that later. So I end up picking Jake, and I call him the wrong name when I pick him, which I don't even know why. But I think I was just so nervous to be in front of everybody. But yeah, I don't know. I think I would have liked if I could have just picked everybody, honestly. I didn't care. I was like, yes, I want to be in control.
Now, people that weren't in control, Benji and Alex. Benji, you have in front of you 3 team captains. You have Jake, you have Jamie, and you have Kelsey. Who did you think might call your name, or perhaps all 3 of them would not call your name?
The only one I thought that would call my name was Jamie. I didn't really have much of a relationship with Jake Miller or Kelsey before. Like we had known each other, we talked to each other, but at one point in the day, Jamie was kind of having a hard moment or something, and I remember that he and I kind of had a moment where I was coming up to him, just kind of telling him like, shake it off, like, you know, you're not here to answer to anyone, and like this is kind of our games to play. And remember we had a really good moment, and like we both had decided that we wanted to work with each other. And I was nervous for him to pick me, so I was trying to hide behind people because it would have been okay if he would have chose me, but at the same time, I think everyone would have been like, why Benji? Jamie didn't know him coming in. He knew a lot of other people. And so I was really nervous that if he would have picked me, like I would have wished Jamie was like the 4th person, and I would have been the 5th after him or something. But being his first pick, I was like looking down at the ground and trying not to have him pick me, and then he didn't, and I was kind of relieved. But then there was also that like, wait, I want to be picked moment. Or there's like instant regret of no, I want to be chosen. So there's a lot of conflict there, but I knew that eventually I was going to get chosen by somebody. But the way that the tribes were picked, it was very curious that it went the way that it did, where it was kind of like clear 2 tribes with the majorities, and then like the weird division tribe in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, one minority in it was Alex. Alex, you were the only original yellow person on your team. Madison chose you. Did you have a connection with Madison, or was it just kind of random that she chose you?
I have a little bit for that. So basically, that's what I knew I wasn't going to win this game because I was like, okay, so Landon, like I'm your number 1, didn't pick me. Morgan, I'm your number 1, 2, no. And then I'm like, Christina, come on, no, Katie, please, Katie. And those were the people I was kind of thinking of, and I was like, oh, I guess I really wasn't in a good spot. But it all worked out because, like I said, if I had stayed with that 7, I would have been Stu. I would have been the first one that I would have gone there. So Maddie picked me, and I was really confused. But I was like, and I was down because I just was like, well, I guess my alliance wasn't an alliance. So she went up to me and she's like, dude, Alex, I picked you because with you it's 5-3. Like we have the advantage, so you can go with us and 5-3. And I was like, no, Maddie, it's 4-4 with me. Like you thought wrong. So it was just like, I think they saw me, and it was, I could be a number for one of the sides, but yeah, that's why I think I got picked. I had a conversation with Maddie a little bit earlier, like one, and like I thought we did like seem like we gelled well, but it was it was fine.
That's super strategic, even though Maddie was a little off on the math, yes, but still, that makes sense from that side point. You're the only yellow, like, yeah, I see where she was going at least, so.
I was one of the last people. I think Maddie knew, like, I was trustworthy. I had also, like, I think, well, she didn't know any of that, like, how I had really started talking to Chris more, the other Chris, who was on my yellow tribe at that point, so. I had a little bit of hope, so.
Well, here's one of the teams here. The full team of Fala.
Fala, yes, that's a beautiful picture. Yeah, so that was I was very excited for my tribe because we had the pregame majority, whatever you want to call it, before the tribes were established with me, Mandy, Megan, K-Woo, and Pat. And then I had the advantage of having two people that I knew prior to the game, and Holly and Caitlin on the tribe. And I knew of Jake Miller. I'd never met him. So really, I had a really good relationship with everyone, and I felt pretty insulated. I felt pretty good about it. But also, I know feeling good in any game like this is not good. So there's only so much time until I became a target myself. But initially, I had a great feeling about that tribe, and very, very happy to be on Fala forever.
And really quick, Benji, how many of the original sleeping tribes were on this one? Like with you?
We had 5. So there's original 5. So me, Mandy, Megan, K-Woo, and Pat were on the sleeping tribe. So we had the 5-person majority going in, and we knew that we were going to pick off Jake, Holly, and Caitlin.
Yeah.
Because that's how it looked on paper.
You never know if things had shuffled differently. But
it did. No, yeah, exactly. Could have been bad.
Fala was seen from a lot of the audience in the comments following along, watching, that you all got along really well. Like, we're not going to count Holada in this. Like, Holada was a whole lot of mess and dysfunctional, yes, but Fala was seen to be really, really tight. Is that because you knew each other, or was it something else?
I think it was that the 5 people that had come from the original sleep overnight tribe, whatever you want to call it, we all felt really good with each other, and I feel like there was a lot of hope, and we had a lot of positivity, a lot of optimism, and I think having that coming in, and we all had the mentality of, we have a 5-3 majority as is perceived on the table, because we're not going to not address the elephant in the room. But I think we also want to let them know that we aren't here to pick you off. We're here to take this Fala 8 as far as we can. And I really meant that. Like, I really wanted to make sure that we won as much as possible and got to carry our relationships as far as possible, because we knew if we got to keep our 5 strong, that's good. And if we got to have 3 that could bring more in or make other relationships independently of ourselves, that's also a good thing for us to take advantage of. And the fact that I had the previous relationships with Holly and Caitlin, I was ready to have their help later on if I could help them throughout this process. And that was kind of some of the politics I was playing while I was on Fala.
You comment and say winning well. The team that did win well was this yellow team right here. Favorite color for Kelsey, after all, right?
Yeah.
Y'all did very well. I was infuriated.
Kelsey, was it just luck that yellow was so strong? This was your pretty much team.
Yeah. I mean, I think, in my opinion, there's a lot of luck in Survivor, right? In how you place and how the challenges fall. But we literally never lost, not even to the veterans. So I do think it was not just luck. I think we had really good communication, really unique skill sets, and really diverse skill sets. It was actually kind of funny. We won a challenge advantage in the auction. We never even ended up having to use it. We were trying to save it for maybe like a double limb, and then it never ended up being that. It ended up being a triple A limb that we couldn't avoid. So that day was a lot of fun. Of course, there were the thoughts of, crap, this is putting a really big target on ourselves. But you don't want to lose on purpose, because then if you're the one that goes home, you're going to regret it forever.
Now, if that wasn't the case, Alex, say your team doesn't win a challenge, who are we going after?
Who was like first? Like, we didn't lose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I was told Grace early on, but I heard like people were starting to trust me more throughout that day. So like I was going in if we lost, Grace was going, which happened, and then second would have been Kelsey. Well, maybe Kelsey. It could have. I wanted to go back with Chris and switch it and get Kelsey back after we took Grace out, but I don't know if that would have happened.
Kelsey, is that what you were hearing from your side? If that was the case.
That's what I was hearing for sure.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get more into this in my further in-depth podcast, but the group of people that I was working with was thinking Chris, which was awful for my personal game because I loved Chris. But they were like kind of thinking like if the first two to go would be Chris or Alex, which really neither of Chris or Alex would have been great for my personal game going home. But I'm like, okay, like I'm not in control. I don't have the agency right now, so I probably too quickly go along with it and. Just kind of think that's the only option. Obviously, Grace does end up going home on our first tribal council. And so it's likely to think maybe I could have been the next one since I was left out of that vote. But I have been told since the season that maybe I actually wouldn't have been the next one to go. So who knows?
And I've heard the same thing where I had no clue that I ever got on Chris. So I was still pretty much in the out. And I think Devin told me that he was the one who said that I would have gone Grace and Kelsey, but then I would have gone after that. But then I had Tiffany who and Chris who really liked me, and Matt, and I'm not sure about Maddie. So yeah, I don't know what have happened.
Now there's one challenge. It was a fire making challenge. You had to make fire in kind of like two parts kind of thing. Fala doesn't bring it home on this one. Benji, what went wrong on your tribe for this challenge?
Everything went wrong. We had the one person that started a fire. We had so much confidence going into this challenge. We never thought that we would lose this challenge. Then what happened is that we had the flint and we kept getting fire started and then it kept going out, but we kept looking around and nobody else was starting fire but us with the flint. And then they brought the matches out, and that's when panic mode set in for Mandy, and then that kind of spread to the rest of us because she had so much confidence in her flint ability that for her it was, I can outflint at least one of these tribes to secure ourselves. And then when the matches came out, that's when kind of the shit hit the fan. I'm sorry if I can't curse.
Things you're welcome to.
Okay, things just kind of started to deteriorate, and I don't want to put it all on Mandy by any means, but she kept bringing it on herself, and we kept trying to reassure her like, this isn't your challenge. That we're all in this challenge. We're all helping you out. This is all of our circumstance, and it just fell away from us, and the more that it fell away from us, the more that. The more that we could kind of see the writing on the wall, and it was very somber because usually in challenges you feel excitement because there's a little bit more of a time crunch, being able to like catch up and like have something. But when it's a slow burning fire, that's just it's one of the most painful challenges I've ever had to do in my life.
Yeah,
we just kind of get to see everyone else like this very slow dissolve of everyone slowly around you succeeding, and then you're not succeeding fast enough, and then you start to think about the vote while you watch the fire gaining. And then unfortunately we had to go to tribal council. And I think that was our first tribal that we had to go to.
It was. You received a vote on that one too.
Yeah.
Were you surprised to see your name?
No, not really. So that whole vote was absolutely crazy because that was the vote where we voted out Caitlin. I'll try to keep it short because there's a lot that was going on there. I remember they were having us leave one by one after the challenge to go around a long way, and so we had a painful amount of time for this vote. Every other vote, I wish we had this mumuch time to strategize because I think we had like 30, 45 minutes to strategize. And I remember walking around the corner, and we all went one by one. It was like Pat, K-Woo, Mandy, and then myself as I was kind of walking up. And we were all kind of like strategizing and waiting for Megan to come around the corner. It's like, hey, I kept thinking to them, how am I going to convince them to keep Caitlin? Because it's like, I'd be happy to vote Holly. Don't really want to. Very happy to vote Jake out. I want Jake out 100% because I didn't know him. And I walked up and Pat said, how do you feel about voting Jake out? And I was like, oh, tough call, but yeah, let's do it. I was like, yeah, yes, hooray. And then of course, I know that Caitlin recounted this when she had her moment in this same interview. It was heartbreaking because Pat pulled Caitlin aside. He kind of mob shook her down and said, hey, we're getting rid of Jake. Are you in? And she was like, why Jake? Why can't we get rid of Holly? And Pat immediately was like kiss the ring. Like we've decided that it was Jake and not you. You should like be grateful that you're going to be continuing this game. And I didn't feel the same way. I was kind of more just like, yeah, you know, she wants to keep her friend because I know that they know each other. And I didn't know how to say it, but then Pat's all like, maybe we should get rid of Caitlyn. She doesn't seem like she's grateful for wanting to stay. And like, I tried to fight tooth and nail to keep Caitlyn. I was like, I think we can work with Caitlyn. I think that we can do this with Caitlyn. And then Holly walks over and says, hey, just so you all know, Caitlyn and Jake have known each other for a long time. So we need to split them up. And I was just like, why? Like, why right now? And I got pulled for a confessional. And then I told him at my confessional, I said, I'm going to go admit to Pat that I also know Caitlyn, because if that's a reason to vote her out, then maybe it's also a reason for her to stay. I was like, but I think it's the nail in the coffin for Caitlyn after I share this. But I didn't want them to say that since she has a connection, that should be a reason to vote her out. So I went and I told Pat and Mandy, and I got kind of emotional. I played this game way too emotional, by the way. I've never been so cryy or so like throwing things and just mad at myself and like so emotional. But I was like crying to them. I was like, I know them. I was like, I can't let you not know that I know Caitlyn. And I tried to tell them, like, I know Caitlyn. We can use her later in the game. She'll want to work with me, especially if we vote Jake out. She'll have no one else. And then both Mandy and Pat were both like, no, we got to get rid of Caitlyn. And I was like, well, I'm voting however you're voting. I'm not going to be an idiot and not vote with my alliance. And then Jake and I, we never had a chance to connect, which sucks because I know that he's such a great guy. And I knew that he was going to write my name down at that tribal council. I just had a feeling that he wasn't going to write Caitlyn's name down, and he had no reason to write Holly down because he had a better relationship with her. So seeing my name wasn't really a surprise, but writing Caitlyn's down was the hardest vote I've ever done in my life in any one of these games. So Caitlyn,
it sounds like Chris fesses up that he told Holly of the Jake and Caitlyn relationship. Not necessarily, maybe Holly knew. Holly is an online game player and a person of live games previously, so maybe that's something that she knew and she didn't get just from you, Chris, but we won't know until we
say Holly has the most connections of anybody. That I wish I would have told everyone that she has probably 20 connections in the game to get her out, because that's what I think carried her to the end was her social game and her connections. And I wish I would have pushed harder after she came up and said, you know, I know Holly knows multiple people here, but hindsight's 2020.
I just want a game where no one knows everyone.
Amen, brother. Amen.
And that is what they try every single season, but unfortunately it was kind of a rough situation last year about it. So
we were all in the boat together. No.
Exactly. And then just a quick little shout out, little picture here. Alex. Where are you going there?
Yeah, I could see through that.
You were like,
I couldn't.
I was like,
so this was not a challenge previous, yeah.
I lost my voice for the entire weekend because of that challenge. It was gone after that. Oh God, that challenge.
But most people said that reaction to this challenge right here. This, of course, is the inevitable food challenge. Now, Benji, I don't have any pictures of you eating anything, unfortunately.
So. I sat out of this challenge.
Oh!
As soon as I saw the challenge, I was like, guys, I've been telling you since day one, I'll do anything except eating challenge because I'm a vegetarian. I was like, I'm not going to be able to stomach anything. And so they all limped in and were like, okay, I guess. I was like, woo, go, win, yay.
Now, on the other side, we have Alex and we have Kelsey here. How was the food? Alex, what did you think?
It was horrible. It tastes like raw fish. So, I mean, like, I would, like, kind of spit it up and keep eating it. So, by the second time I did better. I figured out I wanted to go the last. But I think Tiffany had an advantage if she went last in this challenge. So that's why she really wanted to go last on that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, we'll flip back here to Kelsey just for a second. Chris comments too. Like, Kelsey ate it in 4 seconds. Kelsey, what was your mentality? How are you so good at that?
I'm just big on, like, mind over matter. I mean, I was a psychology major in school. So, like, I just thought that – I remember watching season 6 and Courtney just like kills whatever she's eating. And I'm like, I want to be like that. Like, it doesn't matter how bad it tastes, like, just get it down your mouth. So I ate the 4 eggs, each all in 2 bites. I would just take a bite of the egg, take some pickle juice, and slug it down. Everybody's like, oh, was it gross? And I'm just like, I don't even know. I swallowed it so fast, I don't really think I tasted it. It was much drier than I expected. My stomach didn't really feel good after I ate it. But as far as going down, I was just like, I'm keeping my head down until I swallow. Like, no point in chewing, no point in coming back up. I'm eating the egg because this is one thing I can control. I might not be able to control a lot of other cat challenges, but I knew I could control this one. And now I think I'll never be able to live those eggs down. They call me egg girl now.
Now, Alex, did you have a thought? Because your team was up in numbers. You had the option to sit out. Was this something that you were like, maybe I should sit out, or were you gung-ho about doing the food?
I knew I'd be fine with food. Like, I might, like, but I was going to finish it. I was fine with it. I just needed to figure out the texture. But yeah, I was fine with it.
Now, thankfully, yellow and black team, you make it through this challenge. Then we're brought to a mirror puzzle. There's some puzzle to be had. Benji, you're shaking your head again. Because, yes, we're not talking to Kelsey and Alex for a while because they won so many times. But we have Fala going back to tribal. Benji.
That was the worst challenge of my life. So what... What happened was that everyone's like, I don't want to do the mirror puzzle. And of course, right before the eating challenge, I said, I'll do anything. I'll do anything except the eating challenge. And they're like, you said you do anything, so you want to do the mirror puzzle? It's like, I won't say no to it. It's like, does anyone else want to? And I have problems with like dexterity and with especially like with things that are mirrored like that. Mm-hmm. And that was my brain couldn't wrap around what the hell was going on in that puzzle. And that's the one footage I do not ever want to see is me attempting that puzzle, because the whole time I was just like, I was just down on myself. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to finish this. I can't do it. I don't know how to. And Chris just kept getting piece after piece, and being up against him and him getting every puzzle in like 2 seconds was. And him and me being so close to him, I was like, I know Chris can do this, and I knew that Joe was doing well too. And it's kind of like, it's hard when you're carrying your tribe on the back in a challenge like that. And it was extremely disappointing to have to be the person to send us to tribal council. But fortunately, I was in the majority alliance, and I didn't have to worry about it much. But I was very emotional because I didn't want to let my tribe down, and I didn't want it to be like that. But it was. And I had to handle it in the fallout. And I think Jake knew that it was his time. I don't know. He kind of had a bit of a, I don't know. He rubbed someone the wrong way. I'm not sure who. Like, I wasn't the one calling the shots, which a lot of people thought that I was. But it was mostly Pat that was taking advantage and taking control of things. And he handed down that Jake was going to be the next person voted out. And so that was it. And you know, it was a clean vote. It was 6-1. Jake went home.
Mm-hmm.
He always seemed angry to me.
Me?
On the side. No, Chris. That Chris. Always seemed angry.
His name's Jake. It's Jake Miller. You can call him Chris.
That's the only thing.
You're calling Chris?
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. Jake Miller always seemed kind of
angry. Yeah. I was wondering who this other Chris was.
I'm so sorry.
There's 2 Jakes. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
2 Jakes. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake was a ball of sunshine when you got to like hang around and talk to him. He's a great guy, but me and him just didn't like. Yeah.
When we were, I was sitting by one of the challenges we sat out, and like he knew he was going next, him and Holly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes, I guess.
Which is too bad. Jake Miller was honestly my first pick for my cast assessment, so that's okay. Benji, you just voted him out. That's all right. So. I did get 2 in the finals, so it's okay. Then we go to the infamous, everybody goes to tribal. No advantages, no challenge per se, I guess, individual, but everybody goes to tribal here. Here's the yellow team after winning so many times. Kelsey, you were kind of the captain, getting to be the person to choose the team per se. What were your thoughts about going to tribal after winning so much?
Yeah, it just kind of felt a little bit demoralizing. Like, here we are like doing so well, and now we're forced to vote somebody off. In that day, like I knew it wasn't going well for me. Like, right, like when we'd be in their holding periods, I would see Chris and Alex talking to Jake, Tiffany, and Devin a lot. I kind of got the vibe that I was going to be in the minority of that tribal council. I didn't know what was going to end up happening. I ended up going to Chris right before it because even though we weren't really working together at this point, like I think we were just so drawn to each other, and I felt like he'd be honest with me. So I said, "Is it me?" And he said, "No." So I did believe that. But at the same time, it's never good to know who it is. It ends up being Grace. I'm the only person that doesn't vote for her. I knew everybody was lying to me except for Jake Sparks. That was a shock to me.
Now, funny that we're on here too, because joining us in the comments is Grace herself, right here. Perfect timing. Unfortunate timing in many, many cases. Now, Alex, besides getting to vote Grace out, you also had a decision to give somebody individual immunity from another team. What were your thought processes during that about who to save per se?
I think we all just if I'm correct, but then we all kind of talked to each other really quick, and I felt like everyone kind of thought like Devin and Holly. So if I remember correctly, maybe not, but they were the two that it was obvious they were the ones out. Not Devin, sorry, Landon and Holly. This was like during game 2 when you see all my confessionals. I'm like, I don't remember their names. Landon, yeah. So I think it was pretty get the people who are maybe make them make a move on their own people.
Now, Kelsey, you had some time to kind of pitch something to the other teams as well. Did you say anything to try to get that individual yourself? And Grace also says, my buddy. So.
Yeah, so Alex goes first, and bless your heart, Alex, like I knew you didn't need that.
I wasn't even gonna go. Freaking yeah, who was I sitting by who told me like, hey, you should stand up? Yeah, Jake was like, you need to stand up, and I was like, wait, what? Like,
yeah.
So then I said something.
Yeah. It came across a bit forced to me, so that's like another reaffirming that okay, he's not going home, because that was not very convincing to me.
Yeah.
Chris kind of says something, and in my mind, I'm kind of going back and forth because okay, if I really am with the majority, then maybe I shouldn't say something. That looks like I'm being sketchy. I don't trust them, or I think they don't trust me, so maybe I shouldn't say something. If I am correct, if they are with me. But it kind of came down to I knew if it ended up being me that night and I didn't say anything, I would have regretted it. I always wanted to make sure I did every possible thing to avoid getting voted out. So I did kind of make my little plea. I don't know if anybody ended up voting for me or not. I think the Fala tribe was really strong together, and that's what I was kind of trying to push. Like they hadn't lost a member up to that point. They only do because Holly earned safety, and they give their safety to Devin, who of course didn't need it at all. So that's another reaffirming, okay, they're really close. So yeah, if anybody voted for me, I would be interested. Let me know, because nobody's told me that yet.
And I don't have that stat to give you. We got with a bunch of it too. So I'm like, oh, that's something that I'm missing from.
Yeah, I definitely think the vibe was for sure Landon, for sure Holly. Well, I guess not. We had like a lot of the other original red people, so the other people that were with Fala, and I think like Tiffany, Devin, and Maddie, they're like, oh, well, maybe we should, and we're like, no, we're giving it to Holly. Of course, I wanted to give it to Holly. She was on my original group, so I voted for Holly and Landon for sure.
All those votes blew away in the tornado, so.
Oh, they did?
Probably.
I think we have any record of them somewhere, but Benji, Holly was kind of saved from the other teams. Do you think it was Holly's time to go next, or do you think it was somebody else's at that point?
It was 100% Holly. That's why we were all just kind of sitting there flabbergasted, like, there was a lot going on there. So talking about why y'all chose Landon, I was trying to argue with my tribe saying, why should we throw any votes on Landon? He just said he has an idol or 2 idols or something like that. Let him play an idol. Like, why would we want to go to the next step of this game with an idol in play when we just gift someone immunity. Like, it didn't make much sense to me. So I was trying to tell them, I voted for Stephanie to try to keep her. I didn't know her, but I liked her from the first day that I got to talk with her. I was trying to pitch that. We all knew as soon as we heard it, we're screwed. Holly's going to get immunity. And that's why we all kind of looked around, and Megan stood up because she knew that she was kind of the lowest person on the totem pole. But kind of like cycling a little bit back, something that I really regret is I ended up winning the immunity challenge that was leading up to this. And I won the overall challenge, which I got an advantage for. And I didn't even have a chance to put it into my brain what that note really meant. But basically what it said, it had a whole bunch of, yeah, that's a good photo. It had a whole bunch of options, like what I could do with this advantage. Like, one of them was I could reshuffle a future swap. One of them was something else. And one of them was, they said, somebody's going to be given immunity in a very random way. You're allowed to take that away from them. And I was in such a rush reading it, and people were like over my shoulder, and I'm reading it to the camera, that like I tucked it in my pocket, immediately went to tribal council, and I kept thinking, like, I don't need to worry. I didn't realize that I should have used it to take away Holly's immunity right then, and we should just vote her out, which would have been one less person sitting at final tribal council, different opportunities for us later in the game. That's probably my biggest regret of the game, is removing Holly's immunity at that moment and just voting her out. Because leading up to it, it was kind of chaos once Holly got immunity, because I wanted to take Pat out. I wanted to get rid of Pat because Pat was the one calling all the shots, and I knew that I was just a pawn in Pat's game. He's going to take me out eventually. So I told Megan, it's like, I'll vote Pat with you. We have to get someone else. And I was trying to get Mandy to vote with us, but Megan spooked Mandy so bad by putting her name out there that Mandy was like, fuck all this, we're voting Megan out. Like, I'm not risking putting Pat's name down with Megan. If my name's out there, we're voting Megan out. And the whole time at the vote, Mandy's looking at me like, I'm going, they're voting me out. I'm like, I haven't heard your name. Like, I haven't heard your name. Like, I know I'm safe and I'm calm, but like, you're not going anywhere. And of course, Megan was gone in the 4-1 vote. And I was just like, why are we, it's like, we could have got rid of Pat. And then Pat was the one who ended up flipping on me in the re-vote and later in the game. And it's like,
I'm still feeling it.
Hindsight's always 2020 in this damn game. Always feeling it. I know,
Pat
Grace.
on the shoulder.
Right. But
Yeah, and Grace echoes your thoughts too. She says that Pat can convince anyone to do anything with that sweet smile.
What's funny is right before the individual challenge, we were all kind of like mulling around at camp, and we were all talking, what happens if Holly gets immunity? Because what if it's an individual immunity, and what if Holly ends up being safe? Like, what's our backup plan? And it was just me and Megan, and we had talked, like, I told her, I was like, straight up, I was like, I know that I'm working with Pat, and that Pat is like running the alliance. It's like, but I want him out. It's like, I have no incentive to keep Pat around other than that he likes me. It's like, but he's way closer with K-Woo, and he's not going to keep me around. So why not try to get rid of Pat? And she was totally on board, and it just didn't work out. You know, like the votes weren't there. And if Pat would have gone, it would have been a hell of a shakeup at that point in the game too.
Mm-hmm. And then Chris also says, imagine how bad Holly would be if you took her immunity away from her.
She would have cried.
I know.
She would have
and
cried.
I know. I also thought, like, what would have happened to everyone who would have watched me do it in front of everyone? It wouldn't have been a one tribal council thing. It would have been like an 18-person tribal council thing where it's like, would I really have had the guts to do that in front of everyone? I don't know. I don't know.
I would have been like, that guy's a baller. That's how I would say.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I read the clue so fast that it didn't even connect into my brain until I was sitting in the garage during the storm.
Well, no worries. You get to spend more time with Pat. After this big tribal, there is a swap. So, Benji, here's your new team. Pat's still with you.
He is. I picked him. I picked him to be with me. And that crushed Mandy. And that was another regret that I had, because I got to pick whoever I wanted. And I told her I didn't want people knowing that we were so close. I'd rather people think that me and Pat were close and try to split us up. And then I'd be the one to say, here's Pat as a sacrifice. You know, like, that was my plan the whole time. But then when we got to the tribe, it was like, I had Pat, I had K-Woo. I knew Chris from before. I worked with Tiffany and Devin before. And so I was like, I think I'm pretty good again. I thought that I was sitting good. Was I wrong? I was so wrong. I was so wrong. Apparently, Devin and Tiffany thought that I was the one calling the shots instead of Pat being the one calling all the shots. And that's something you can't shake when someone has an image of you.
But the other team here, we have Yellow again, Kelsey, your favorite color. How was it feeling to be on the yellow team again?
I mean, after getting left out of that Grace vote, it seemed like the swap came at the right time for me, right? I kind of felt like me, Landon, and Holly were gonna really band together because we each were, you know, quote unquote on the bottom of our each respective tribes. But I don't know. I don't know if it hurt me when they revealed the votes for that vote out. They actually didn't show my vote. So to the other tribes, it appeared that everybody voted for Grace, but I didn't vote for Grace, so I really was at the bottom. And I think the other people on our tribe just thought, okay, we need to get rid of the old Tamanga member. So Alex, me, and Maddie, which is kind of how the order went, except for Maddie obviously saved herself with the idol, and Christina got voted out first. So I think they were all just scared that we were going to be Tamanga strong, but I very much so wasn't. So I thought it was my saving grace, and it turned out not so much.
Alex, too, you were always seemed to be at the bottom, either in the first swap, you're the only yellow, and now you kind of had a target on your sleeping tribe. Like, was this a sigh of relief for you, or did you still see yourself in a precarious situation?
I don't think there was anything that could have changed. Like, I knew the vote that I went out that I was going out, but my mistake, what I was thinking here was still 2 steps behind. I was still thinking the minds of the sleeping tribes that people had. So I was thinking we came back and was like, okay, like, and I'm still kind of upset that I didn't get picked on that when I got on yellow. And I was like, I'm still done with Christina and Katie. And I was like, I have Landon. So I was like, I just got to amend fences with Kelsey. But like everyone I just worked on that blind side went to the other tribe. So I knew there, I was like, I'm not in a good spot. And I didn't think that people would go for me, Kelsey, and then Maddie. So maybe if I had talked a little bit more with them, but I think pretty quickly they knew. I don't know what they said to Kelsey. She probably will say, like, after they vote me out, maybe they said, then we'll go for Christina and Katie. But I thought that the target would be on Christina and Katie. And I was trying to get on because I was like Holly, like Mandy, like I don't really, I want to work with you all. Let's do this. I thought we could get through at least 2 tribals and make merch. So
now, at least the talk for your tribe is safe this first round. You all take the wonderful spot right on the board there, and you're all hugging and super close to each other, and you win the first tribal immunity after the swap. But of course, that sends Benji, our friend Benji, to tribal after that.
Yep. that was so disappointing. Honestly, that was one of the hardest 12 hours that I had after the swap, and then the rain, and then having to lose the very first challenge of the morning, and then go immediately to tribal council. And this was the fastest tribal council of the entire weekend. It literally felt like we had about 3 or 4 minutes to talk to each other leading up to the vote. Losing that challenge, I really felt like I was okay going in. And, I even said this to production right before we went to the challenge, and they mentioned it to me right after I got back, that all I kept saying was, all I have to do is talk to Devin and Tiffany and make sure that I can establish that I want to work with them and be good with them. But because of the rain, I didn't get a chance to talk to anyone but Kwoo the entire day. And I was already good with Kwoo. I didn't need to talk with him anymore, but he was on the same page as far as, not letting one of us go. So immediately after the challenge, I went and talked to Tiffany, and I told her what was going on. And that's where I think she maybe solidified the idea that I was kind of the one running things. But really, I just felt the best with her. I was really trying to lend a branch out and say hey, here's who I'm least closest with in this tribe. Let me know what you're hearing, and maybe we can vote someone out. And after I left her, she was the one that ended up ginning the votes together to get me out with Devin. And those are the people that I worked with at the very beginning of the game. And it was also part of my idea to save Devin in that big immunity challenge run, because I said, why don't we send a message to Devin, Tiffany, Maddie over there and say, we're still with you, and we protect someone who's clearly not in danger, like Devin. And we did it. And I thought maybe that'd be an olive branch, be like, hey, we're still working together and I want to work with you. But apparently he had formed stronger bonds with Chris, Jake, or whatever was going on. And me and Chris didn't want to vote for each other. And there we were voting against each other. And both of us kind of knew that we were the votes. And it's kind of like, I don't want to vote for you. And he didn't want to vote for me. It's like, but we have to vote for each other because otherwise one of us goes home if we don't.
You couldn't figure out another situation that you and Chris could have worked together and strung along another 2 people?
We didn't have enough time. I found out that that the votes were coming onto me as Mike was rounding us up saying, come on, it's tribal council time. Kwu ran over and said, you're the vote. And that's when me, Kwu, Pat, and Joe all met as they're like, it's tribal council time. Start walking. I was like, the vote's on me. We have 4 people here. Are you 4 willing to vote with me? They're like, yes, we're all going to vote Chris. And I'm like, are you willing to go to Rocks? And immediately Joe and Kwu were like, yeah. And then Pat was kind of like, yeah. And I was like, that's the worst yeah ever. But I was like, I don't have time to vet this. I'm like, let's go. We're going to. And then I went over and confronted Tiffany as we were walking up. And I kind of gave her some lip service like, why are you getting rid of me? Like, there's no reason to get rid of me. I want to work with you. I want to work with you long term. And she just kept smiling. I was like, I know that you're writing my name down. And I was like, that's it? Nothing? You're not going to talk to me, strategize? I'm like, fine, we're going to go. We're voting me or Chris out. And then, God, that was such a terrifying vote. But the whole time I kept thinking that I'm good. I don't know why. I really thought that I had my 4 solid. And then Kwu was this close to playing his idol on me. I'm not sure if you saw the footage of what happened at that tribal council, but Kwu stood up, walked to John, turned to Joe and said, Joe, who'd you vote for? And Joe said, Chris. And then Kwu said, not today. And I should have said, Kwu, just play it. Like, just play it on me. We don't have to go to Rocks. No one has to worry. Play your idol on me and we'll be fine. But I didn't feel like I wanted to be that brazen. I didn't want to push Kwu around. And like, I wanted to be confident in his decision. And then the 4-4 tie came. And then the revote came. And Chris looked at me and said, I'm going. And I felt really good. And then the revote came and Pat flipped on me. And I knew immediately it was Pat. And rip Benji in Survival Challenge.
Yeah, Grace was surprised by the vote out too. She said that you seemed really well connected and she was shocked, even from the other tribe.
Me too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was just a circumstance where apparently Tiffany and Devin wanted to try to cut down the strength of the alliance that we had, which I totally get. But I wish you would have told me, because I would have sort of said, let's get Pat out. Like, I don't want to, but I can solidify this with you and Devin to move forward with you guys and Chris, because I knew Chris, and I could have got in with other people and switched things up a little bit, but it was time.
Well, speaking of
Benji,
switching things up,
What's
really quick, Benji, what was the vote? Like the total vote, was it like 3-1 or 5-1?
So it was 4-4, and then the revote was because there was 8 people, right? So it was 4-4. Then it was the revote was 6 people, so it was 4-2. Pat flipped and voted me out. Yeah.
Tiffany was so good that game, by the way. She was so good. But
she was. I wanted to work with her. I was in on Tiffany, and she didn't realize it. And I was just like, you were so charming and winning people over. I wanted to work with her, but it wasn't there. Yeah, I just saw Chris's comment that he had posted.
I hear shocked. It was me at Rocks.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Chris was always ready to go to Rocks from the very start.
So true. God, Chris is such a warrior. He'd been through so much at that point, and I was happy to see him go. And when it's between 2 people, I'm glad it was between me and Chris. It's weird to say that, but I do love Chris as a friend, and it was kind of cathartic in a way for us to be the ones that it was tied against.
Mm-hmm. Now our next challenge up, we have, switching things up, we have a big giant puzzle in the water. Now we have someone calling from shore. Kelsey, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
How was it in that situation? Was it, talk me through it.
Yeah, we had one person that could sit out, and I think me and Mandy we knew it was going to be water, so neither of us really felt too confident about the water, but she's pretty adamant, so I'm like, okay, like, I'll do the challenge, and then lo and behold, there's somebody that doesn't have to get in the water, so like, oh, Kelsey, that can be you. I'm like, are you sure? Does anybody else want to do it? And nobody else wanted to do the puzzle, because, like, some of them were not far swims. I clearly could have done it. I was a Division I athlete. Like, I know how to swim, but it just wasn't my favorite thing. And with the rain, like, didn't really want to get soaked again. So I ended up being the person that is on the puzzle. And as Chris can attest, we could not see the puzzle. Like, they had to, like, kind of face up the pieces for us to be able to see, because I guess both of us were short enough that we didn't have the vantage point to be able to see. So that was really frustrating. Obviously, if we lose, it's never a great position to be in when you feel like that was potentially your fault. But I did feel confident enough at that point that, you know, even though we lost and I was in the collar position, that I wasn't going to be the one to go.
But you received one vote, that tribal.
Red, I wonder from who?
Alex, can you fill us in? What happened there?
That's when I knew I was gonna go, because so we lose the challenge, we go backstage, and then like throughout the morning, everything I was hearing was Christina, Katie, and when I go back there, it switched to Kelsey, and I also didn't know what we were gonna tell Kelsey, but I didn't know why. When things switch like that, it shows you weren't in the loop of things. But also something I believe in Survivor is if you don't know where the other vote is going, you're probably the other vote. So yeah, that's just kind of how I went. Was they said it was Kelsey, probably because they knew Kelsey was going to go next, and I was still trying to be like, wait, what are we telling Christina and Katie, or what are we telling? Who's Kelsey going to vote for, Katie? And I was just kind of doing that thing. I was like, you know, I'm in a bad spot, so I'm going to try and get into every single conversation to see what I can hear. But when they'll probably show this in the video, but when we were going up to get the votes, I checked every single spot, trying to see if there was an idol, because Chris told me the advantage he got was there was an idol hidden somewhere around the like tribal council, but he didn't tell me like where. So I was like, this is my only hope, but I couldn't find it, so I just went with it.
Now you said they were telling you where the vote goes. Like, who were you working? Who was the they that you were working with or trying to trust?
I thought, because like I had reconnected with Landon, and I think Holly were the two I thought like, okay, like let's really get this. I knew Kelsey because really I couldn't sleep at night. So I would wake up and I would literally like just go off while everyone was sleeping and just kind of continue like maybe try and look for an idol even though I didn't have anything, or just like look at the stars. And I saw Kelsey early that morning and I knew she was still mad, but I was hoping that like her and Mandy were switching over. But I thought Holly, Mandy, and Landon were all on board for the Christina and Katie. So
were you still pretty mad at that point, Kelsey?
I thought it was those three who were.
No. I mean, again, me and Alex were people that we did connect. I mean, we're from the same place, right? I had just gotten married, about to get married. We had like several nice conversations. I think I maybe even made you tear up at one point because we were really connected.
I will say, out of anyone on this tribe, the person I connected with the most, or the whole season, or I felt like this was the most genuine conversation I had, was with Kelsey, where it was just like, I think with me just being on bottom, like I would have loved to work with Kelsey, but I just felt in a bad spot basically the whole time. But like, Kelsey. Yeah.
So with that, like, I didn't have any really ill feelings. Like, I kind of understand that in this game, you have to do what's best for you, and in that moment, leaving me out of the grace vote was what was best for him. So I don't think I held any animosity to him at that point. But at the same time, does he really serve me in this game right now? At this point, not really. So I wouldn't say, like, I was a part of the people that were, like, gung-ho, like, let's do Alex. But I also wasn't going to fight that. I didn't feel like he had kind of earned the right for me to fight for him in that moment since he had just left me out of the vote. So that kind of seemed like it was the avenue that it was going, and I went with it because I'd rather be obviously with the majority. I knew if me, Alex, and Maddie were together, there really wasn't anything we could do with that. So I needed to be on the side of the majority, which was the other side. From my point of view, it was going to be potentially Mandy after Alex. It doesn't end up being it, so.
No, it doesn't, because we go to the next challenge real quick. It was a quick one. It was a big log. It didn't go very well. I don't even have a picture of that one, no worries. But we are taken back here for our final, out of you three, our final vote out. So Benji, we lost you 2 rounds ago. Alex, we just lost you now. And Kelsey, we're about to lose you right here. So your thoughts on this?
It's hard, right? Because I think Benji just said earlier, he knew it wasn't good walking into it, but he felt like he was maybe going to be okay. And that's kind of how I felt walking into this one. I knew it wasn't good, but I think like as humans, we're really good at convincing ourselves that it's going to be okay or it's going to work out. So I did kind of think it was going to be okay. It just made sense for me in my head for Mandy to go and not me, because it wasn't working with the other Tamunga or the old Tamunga members. And I think some of those people really messed up their games by keeping her over me. Because as we know, Holly is the only person that ends up being in the final 3 out of those people. And Mandy, it takes up the other seat. So if she would have gone and not me, I think I could have really helped better their game. So at this point, I know it's going to be either me or Mandy. And just, John's asking me questions. So much is going through my mind. It's so hard to process everything. Keep in mind, like, we're not really eating. I'm not sleeping. I think I was one of the only people that really, like, did not sleep at all. So it's hard to make sense when you're trying to give your plea. But we go to vote, and Landon kind of whispers to me, like, hey, if you have an idol, like, you need to play it. Like, I knew Landon was kind of, like, on my side, but kind of knew that he needed to go with the majority. So I'm looking around. I don't have an idol. I don't see an idol, but I knew, again, I was going to regret it if I didn't do everything possible. So I saw that little fire emblem up there on the podium, and it just made sense to, honor Adam, since he was the one that enlightened me about Survival Challenge, to go for it. So I went for it, and it doesn't work, and I'm really sad, but I'm happy I went for it.
Absolutely. And all the comments are coming in for hashtag let her play the podium from Allie here. Grace says it was iconic. Kirk, our live stream podcaster for this too, still thinks you should have played it. But you were so close on that. So
yeah. It was really, I think it was even more of a dagger that Kaywu got to play it later. Like, win in Survivor, does it have to be activated, or you have to have the clue, right? So the fact that it really was real, but I couldn't play it, that was rough. That was really sad. Because, you always kind of feel like if you would have made it one step farther, maybe you really could have gotten your footing and done well. And I do kind of think that maybe if Mandy would have gone there and not me, it would have set me up well, but who knows?
And when Kaywu played it, completely like switched the whole game. So it was a big idol.
Yeah. So big plays from all 3 of you. I really want to thank you all for coming out tonight and coming out to your living rooms, most likely, honestly, but just to hang out here and relive the experience of Survival Challenge 2021. Now, before we go, we kind of heard all the stories and everything about a little bit of the gameplay, and of course, we'll hear more on Behind the Player when William gets to sit you down and kind of go over gameplay. But Benji, since you were kind of first out of this mix here, final thoughts about like Survival Challenge, or maybe something you've gotten from this game?
If anything, it was a lot of self-reflection. There was a lot of understanding that coming in with a plan is almost impossible. I didn't want to be who I was. I didn't want to be somebody that would stand out. I didn't want to be that or the other. But sometimes you almost have to learn to play to your strengths. And I think I need to, in the future, understand to not try to shut them out, but maybe try to understand them and harness them differently. It was such an incredible experience. Both Kelsey and Alex, it was wonderful getting to play the game with both of you and having the opportunities to feel like we were on Survivor and have all that special time together. It's something I'll never forget. And I'm just so grateful that I was chosen and got to be a part of this experience with everyone.
Alex, was this something special to you per se too, kind of returning to at a hard point in your life, first year in college and everything that happened to you? Do you see that now as a different perspective?
Yeah, I felt, and I think I said this in my final words of it gave me a little bit of a closure coming back and seeing that area. But I love Survivor, and I think this is probably the closest I'm ever going to get. I don't know if I'm going to do another live game, but I felt like just the location, the people I met, and being able to experience it and enjoy the nature part and enjoy the survival kind of part and element of it. It was a lot of fun, and I met a lot of great people along the way. So I know this is going to keep going strong for a long, long time. And I'm always going to be an advocate for anyone who's interested. Just go for it and do it, because you're gonna love it. Even if you get voted out pre-merge, it's still worth it. Yeah. So.
And I think keep trying, even if you're alternate and don't get cast. There's always next time, and then there's next time. Just like you said, Alex.
Yeah,
too.
I was close to taking off my clothes for a video. I was like, maybe this will get me on. I don't know.
Well, Kirk has a final comment for Kelsey, how you outwitted the idol, kind of like Suri. So he's comparing you to Suri in that way.
Highest form of compliment.
Kelsey, take us home. Final thoughts about Survival Challenge 2021.
Yeah, if you're somebody out there wondering if you should do it, maybe it'd be too physically hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a ton of misery, right? But at the reunion, they asked, like, who would do it again right now if we sent you back out to the woods? I think every single one of us raises our hand. I mean, so fun. You know, you sit there in the car with, for me, it's my husband, Javin, and we throw out survivor scenarios like, oh, what would you do if this, this, and this? And, like, this gives you the chance to actually put it to a test, right? And at first, I think I was very disappointed in myself for not doing as well as I would have hoped or would have thought to do. But regardless, right, I mean, who really cares if you go out pre-jury or even second place, right? Only one person gets to win. And I think even though we all went out pre-jury, at least speaking for myself, I still had so much fun hanging out with everybody, getting to know everybody that did go pre-jury, and then being able to be there and watch the rest of the game play out. It was such a cool experience. I think John actually shared the video of me trying to play the idol with Adam, and I've gotten a chance to kind of speak with Adam about that after and get to talk to him about, you know, my experience and his experience. So this has just led to so many cool opportunities, so many friends. Grace is coming down to visit me in a couple of weeks because we don't live too far from each other. I FaceTime with Chris on my commute from work, and really I was just blown away by all the people involved, right, of our cast. There was nobody that stood out like a sore thumb. There were no easy vote outs, and especially by production. I truly believe that the entire setting of the game could be put on by other people, and it wouldn't be what it is, right? Like, the people behind it are the reason it is so incredible. So just endless thank yous to production and all the hard work that they do to put on such a realistic experience, and an experience that I'll forever be grateful for.
Yeah, and maybe we need to do a Terra Hoda. Yes, production, you can go check out all their work at Survival Challenge. They have an Instagram page with a lot of pictures up there, but of course follow their Facebook for any up-to-date information about casting for next year, and of course when episodes are released, and the behind the player interviews that we'll have soon with the three of these people here. Alex, Kelsey, Benji, thank you very much for hanging out tonight. We are Live Reality Games. Please follow us here on Facebook, on YouTube, and anywhere you find social media for more games like this, for more interviews, and for all the information on LRGs in the world. So thank you, and until next time. Bye.